This morning we'll be continuing on with our marriage and family lesson here. And last week we were talking about having healthy routines. It's important for couples to have healthy routines as a family. And it's not just a couple, it's a family all together. And that's how families stay strong and build relationships with one another. Routines, we left off last week, routines are important for creating good environments. If anyone trying to accomplish something good, you look at an athlete, they have a good routine to accomplish what they've set out. And it's the same way with a healthy marriage and a healthy family, that we need to have good routines. And this morning we're going to start on is separate heaven from the rest of the world. And let's look at Genesis chapter 1, 6 and 8. And then we'll be really kind of focusing on separating our work life and our family life. If we become obsessed in our work, our family will be neglected. In Genesis chapter 1, 6 and 8, it says, "And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters from under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so, and God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day." Here the firmament is an invisible shield that divides the heaven from the earth. And as we look at just these principles of creation, we need to make sure that we have that healthy separation between our work and our family. I don't know about any other men, as I struggle with this one in a mighty way. And I'm sure women can be much the same, but it's a stronger issue for men. I know I struggle with that, having that healthy separation between work and family, and especially with ministry. Ministry can become all-consuming, and your family can be left out. And it's important that we have that healthy divide. Ministers violate this principle more than anyone else, oftentimes, not by understanding the difference between family and ministry. We need to make sure that our family needs to be protected. There's been many broken families over the generations because a minister did not have a healthy separation. There's been many families broken over generations because someone in the workplace did not have that healthy separation. You see that in the business world, as men and women alike will just get obsessed with their work, and their family will go by the wayside. God does not ask anybody to sacrifice their family on the altar of ministry or work. That there is one area that we need to, God doesn't say, neglect your family for the ministry's sake. It's important that we take care of our family first, whether it's in the ministry, in the workplace. And we have to, I have to have a day job. I have to work. God has called me into ministry. He's called many of you into ministry, each and every one of us. But we have to have that healthy divide and separation. The first institution God created was the family unit. God created Adam and Eve to work together, to bond together, to be companions to one another. That was the first. It wasn't the church. It wasn't the business world. The first union that God created, it was that family unit. God builds nations through family units. And let's look at 1 Timothy chapter 3. First Timothy chapter 3, 4 and 5. one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man knoweth not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the house of God? Let's jump down to verse 12 as well. Let the deacons be the husband of one wife, ruling their children in their own houses well. This here is really the first call to make, to allow you to be qualified for ministry is caring for your spouses, caring for your children, caring for the ones that, if I fail in this area, if I fail with my 4 children, if I fail with my wife, that everything else will fail as well. It's important that we take care of our family, that we have that healthy separation. I can't be 100% busy with my work and the calling that God has called me to and neglect my family and be successful in the eyes of God. So we have to make sure that we take care of our families. Family time needs to be as sacred as ministry time, because family time is ministry. I was thinking, I have those 4 kids, and if I can pour Jesus into those 4 kids, I get credit for all the souls that they win. And if I'm one person, but if I can pour Jesus into those 4 children and send them out, I get that reward too. But if I fail with those 4 children, then the ministry stops. There's nothing to pass on down. And I want to have one of those legacy families. I look at some of the great families in our own organization. Have these great ministry families, and it goes on from generation to generation. And I guarantee that there was a father there that showed love and compassion to those children and instilled in them. There's many children that have probably run away from God because they saw that their father was so consumed in the ministry that they didn't want any part of it. So it's important that we are successful with our family and that we treat our family is really top priority. You always hear, God is first, family is second, and then ministry and just church is third. And if something there gets out of order, we can't put our family at the top. God says, if you love your family more than me, you're not worthy to follow me. But God's not calling us to put ministry above our family. Ministry is a 24/7 calling. Even your work and oftentimes our work is our ministry. Wherever God has called you to, you can minister in that place. You can minister to those people. Without our work, we would not be able to provide for our family. Whether it's ministry or your own work, oftentimes takes a lot of time. But sometimes, a minister or maybe your workplace, we need to just let the phone ring and let somebody else handle the emergency. Every once in a while with my own work, they'll ask me to work late hours or come in on a Saturday, and I've promised something to my kids or my family, and I can't this time. And that's not always the easiest thing, but we have to make sure to put our families first. There is a difference between heaven and earth. God created that difference between the heaven and the earth and the firmament to divide. And we need to make sure that there's a healthy balance between our families and our work. People need boundaries. Family time is as sacred as ministry or work. Learn to balance family and work. Do not let family time go lacking. It's easy to excuse this when one brings home a paycheck, but people need your presence, not presents. Oftentimes, you'll see a family member gone a lot of time, and they'll bring back a gift to make up the difference. And I heard one of my buddies from work, he's one of those guys that he'll always accept the overtime. He lives down in Maysville, and he'll just stay up here. He'll work till 8, 9 o'clock at night and just stay in the hotel. And his little boy, I think he has a 6 or 7-year-old boy, and he's like, "Daddy, I just want you home." And it kind of broke my heart when his response to his son was, "Don't you want a good Christmas present?" And that's sad. That little boy, though he may in the natural want big Christmas presents, but what he really needs is his dad's presence in his life. And we need to make sure that we don't substitute gifts and presents for our presence. And I think it was the pastor always says, you spell quality time, time, or whatever. It's important that we just spend time with our family. Yesterday we were doing some ministry work, but we were able to do that as a family. And it's important you have to do both, but especially when you can involve your family. God's called whole families into ministry. It's not just you, it's your whole family. When you can, especially when many of you guys aren't in the child raising ages, but whether it's grandchildren or children, if you can if you can spend time with your family while doing ministry, that is good as well. But let us not substitute our presence for presents. People who feel guilty tried to alleviate it by bringing home gifts. Family needs the ministry of just hanging around. Our family needs, whether it's your grandchildren, your children, close friends, they just need that ministry of just being around each other. Families, heaven and earth, must have good boundaries. So that there talks about, that there finishes up just having, just as God created that divide between the heaven and the earth, we need to make sure that we have that healthy divide in our own. Is there any men that struggle with that besides me? I struggle with that, and it's hard when you're pulled in so many directions. Sometimes you feel like you're being pulled in so many directions that you're not successful at any. But I need to make sure that I don't fail with my children and my spouse. And it's the same way with each and every one of us. Does anyone have anything they want to add to that? Pastor?
My stepdad died at 61, and at the time I was working at Airborne Express at night, working for my boss during the day, so I had 2 jobs and doing ministry full time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad told me, he said, "Son, all your growing up years, I worked all that overtime
That's all. You never hear a man when he comes to the close regretting, I wish I would have worked more. I've never heard that before, but it's always, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. And let us, we have that option today because we're still breathing. We might have. It's the cool thing about this journey that we're on is God allows a new start, and we can't do anything about the past, but we can do something about today and the days forward. And I know I catch that with my wife. I'm guilty of that, where she's going to be there when I get home, no matter what time it is. And but I can, we can start afresh. Anybody else have anything, Brother Sam?
I think we also got to kind of remember not to use that as an excuse as well to become lazy in different areas. Younger, I used it as an excuse not to accept responsibilities and stuff like that. So it'd be like, oh, I've got to be at church instead of work, so I'd always be taking off work and not being responsible and stuff like that. I'm still kind of young, newlywed, so I'm still trying to find that balance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But and trying to build a career. But I know a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, there are some people I know of that has used it also as an excuse to not assume responsibility and to say, well, I've got to do this instead of going to work and stuff like that as well.
Right. Yeah, you had to, which that comes to, you got to ask God for wisdom sometimes, and ask. Men, we have to work. We have to provide. It's hard to be a blessing to your family when you're a bum. We'll just call it what it is, and we need to make sure that we have that healthy divide. Work when you're supposed to work, but don't be excessive. But then spend time with your family. Brother Doug.
Do you think when it comes to, you said that it seems like more pastors have this problem than what a factory worker would.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's because a pastor looks at his flock as his family also? So at that point, it's a little harder to divide. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And when you love people like you love your own family, that's hard.
Right.
And I think that's
what I'm trying to get. I just
right.
don't know how to do it.
Right. Yep. And that's probably pastor. That's probably one of the biggest struggles, I would think. And but at the same time, it goes back to the verse we just read that if I can't take care of my four plus my wife, I have no business taking care of a church and the youth. And
But I also think that where it comes in, a lot of that is the pastor's wife. I shook your wife's hand this morning and I said, there's half of my favorite couple. And she said, yeah, the better half somewhere else. I said, oh, no. No, you guys are equal in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't better than you. So,
she's better than me. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I think if God gives you the right woman,
Right.
and that's what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't take just anybody. I mean, it takes the right woman to.
Right. Yep, and I think especially when God calls a family into ministry, which He's called every family into ministry, we just have different callings, and He anoints us for that. Sister Twain. Right. Yeah, that's what we're privilege that Jenny can stay home and take care of the kids and take care of all the home stuff, and where I've got a job that can provide. And I forget what the kids were saying. It was like, if it wasn't for your mom, you wouldn't have food, your house would be a mess, you wouldn't have clothes. She's the, like you said, Sister Selene, she's the hub that holds, that allows it to keep on spinning. And God's created that family unit as to work together as one, because one without the other, if you have a wheel with no hub, you're not going anywhere. And but I'm glad that God doesn't call us to do this alone. Amen. Let's talk about have a gathering place in Genesis chapter 1. This will help you guys read the scriptures in a different way next time. I've never thought about using the creation story as principles for marriage, but there's some good stuff here. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, we're going to talk about have a gathering place. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. It's important for couples to have a gathering place, a time where you can spend time together. Whether that's at the dinner table, whether that's going out on a date night, or whether that's playing games together. It's important to have a gathering place. In Psalms chapter 91, verse 1, it says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. God has called us to have that gathering place, that meeting place with Him as well. It's important that we have our prayer time. It's important for us to have a prayer chair or a prayer closet, that time where you just gather with the Lord and spend time with Him. Also, in the same way, families need the gathering place to meet as spouses or with children or grandchildren. Special places are required to have special relationships. It's important that we have that time. Just as that prayer closet, when you spend time with the Lord, you shut the world off around you and just get alone with the Lord. It's important to do that with our family as well. Go on a date night. Go out with your family. Do something and make that a sacred time. Make that a gathering time where you can spend time to get to know with one another. Let's look at Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Here the principle is to be unique. A person should be their unique self. You see that there in verse 11, whose seed is in itself. It's important to be yourself. Find yourself and be comfortable in your own skin. It's important to be who God has created you to be. Don't try to be somebody else. We all have role models, I'm sure, people that we look up to, but God did not create you to be like them. God created you to be your unique self. And it's important that if we're going to have a healthy relationship with somebody, that we need to accept who we are in Christ. We need to accept ourselves. One of the struggles I always had was, I'm a little bit vertically challenged than most guys. I hear Sam laughing back there. Was that you, Sam? No? Maybe that was Brother Mike. I knew I heard a man's laugh. And growing up in school, you always want to be the big, bad, tough guy. And I was always the short little feller, and that caused some self-conscious things within myself. But in order for me to be confident in the man that God has called me to be, I need to be comfortable with my own self. Each individual needs to find the uniqueness and the gift inside themselves, and do not try to imitate somebody else. The God DNA in each person is exactly what they need in life. God created you for you. He didn't create you to be somebody else. Self-esteem does not come from other people, but rather how one views themselves. It's important to have, this isn't, we need to make sure that we're not prideful in ourselves, but we need to be confident. We need to be confident who God has called us to be. It's easier for someone to like someone who feels good about themselves. Have you ever been around somebody that is always just talking down on themselves, that is not that happy? They struggle with depression. And it's a whole lot easier to be friendly to someone who is confident about themselves and just friendly to other people. A person who is down on themselves is usually down on everybody and everything else. Do you know anybody that's just a Debbie Downer? They're not happy with themselves, and they're not happy with the world around them, and there can oftentimes be a hard personality to be around, and especially in a marriage. If you're always down and depressed and woe is me, that is hard, and oftentimes when you get like that, you expect the people around you to bring happiness into your life, but you really can't bring happiness and joy into your life from an external source. That has to be from God Himself. If you're expecting the world around you to make you happy, one of the things my kids really struggle with is they want everything to be perfect. They want if they don't get the perfect gifts, or if they don't have the perfect food, they just throw a big fit, and they focus on the few negative things, and it just makes them can make them miserable. And yesterday I made Levi say, "Tell me something you're thankful for." He's, "I can't think of anything." And by the end of the day, because I got to spend I'm off work for a few days, and I'm like, I'm going to make sure, Levi's been struggling with this for a while. I'm going to make sure I'm going to do my fatherly duty here. And this morning he sat on the couch and was like, "What are you thankful for, buddy?" And he kept on naming things off, but he had a smile on his face. And we need to focus on all the blessings God has for us, and focus on our unique self. Don't focus on that I'm not 6'2" and this typical height of a man and all this stuff, but focus on what God has blessed me with, and that'll help you love yourself. It's hard to love others when you do not love yourself, and especially in a marriage, it's hard to love your spouse when you do not have a love for yourself as well. One cannot blame others, whether it be your spouse, children, pastor, or friends, or make themselves responsible for how their life turns out. You cannot blame other people for how your life has turned out. We need to have confidence in who God has called us to be. God has made each and every one of us unique, and be confident who God has called you to be. We'll do one more little section here. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 25, it says, "And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, cattle after their kind, and every thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good." Here, the principle is to choose external relationships carefully. This has nothing to do with ethnicity or economic circumstances. What are they your kind? People can choose external relationships that ruin them. God didn't call cattle to mate with pigs. God didn't call sheep to mate with goats. God has called us to be drawn to our own kind. Friends can influence a person against God and His principles. Having a best friend who does not believe in marriage or hates men can ruin one's marriage. By osmosis, you become what you surround yourself with. God created nature to go after their own kind. It's important that we form our relationships, whether it's a marriage relationship or just a friendship, that we follow after godly people, that we don't build relationships that are ungodly people. Bad friendships, bad fellowship with one another can also have a negative effect on ourselves. So let us choose wisely the relationships that we have. Amen. We better close there this morning. Brother Doug, would you close us out in prayer?